Hi, I'm Dr. Rollan Roberts, and I am so excited about this upcoming CEO Entrepreneur Cruise, February 12th through the 14th. You know, as we get closer to the time, I see a number of things happening. We have registrations every single day, people reserving their cabins for the cruise. We have different speakers. We're going through the different topics, and we're going through what they're talking about. And I've spent a few hours with Peter this past Monday. And one of the most exciting aspects, just to hear about a 30, 60, 100 times return. And we were talking about how many business people, even faith-based business people, do not know what to do when they get in a bind. And if you're an entrepreneur or if you're an executive or a professional in any capacity, you're going to find yourself in those positions from time to time. What happens when you need $1 million and you've got 24 hours to get it? I mean, most of us, the only thing we do is drop to our knees and pray, like how in the world, because I don't even know where to start and how does this happen? And, but Peter's going to be talking about what to do, some tactical, practical things and steps that you can take whenever your back is against the wall, against something that seems impossible, including large financial needs like that. And then we're talking to some of the celebrities that are so excited about being a part of this and they want to be a part of it. And, they're captive on the boat for 3 days, 2 nights. People who have sold their companies for a couple $100 million. People that you don't normally just get to kind of put on some flip-flops and swimsuits and spend some time with and get to know. Normally, it's the kind of people that if you're lucky, you're spending 60 seconds pitching them your idea or, seeing them from afar or seeing them on the stage. But to be able to see them in the hallway, to ride the elevator with them, to walk the beaches of the Bahamas and the Caribbean with them. That's what isn't normal. And that's what we have put together here. That's why this is so special. And, we've made this insanely cheap. $299 for a couple for this month, and then $299 for an exterior cabin for a single person, but only $69 to bring a friend or bring a colleague or coworker or business partner or spouse or better half or whatever. You don't want to miss this cruise. Not only is it insanely cheap, I was looking at some tickets today for a different conference that starts this Thursday, and those tickets were $4,500 for 4 days. That's not all inclusive. That doesn't cover a snack. That doesn't cover a bottle of water. That means you're allowed to enter the hotel room and listen to the information. You don't build the relationships. You don't build anything. You just get informed. And quite frankly, I think a few $100s to be able to spend time with people like this, to be able to pitch your company if you're looking for funding or if you're trying to sell your business. We have one publicly held company that acquires companies that'll be there as well. The CEO himself will be on the boat. It's a world that's very different and unlike anything else that's been out there, and yet it's insanely cheap. So, but I still think that there are people who want to be on there that don't want to pay the money, or there's an obstacle with price, not because it's too much, just because it's not a free cruise. And what I want to address that, because when I was 22, I had just lost everything. And going from making a ton and having lots of property and, everything I wanted, to losing absolutely everything. And there was a conference coming up. And I remember my mentor saying to me, he said, Roland, you have to be there. And I said, you don't understand. It's physically impossible. I have already sold all of the furniture in this house. I'm standing up against a wall looking at a kitchen right now that does not have a kitchen table. I can peek into the living room and there is no couch, there is no coffee table, there's no furnishings, period. And I said, there's nothing left to sell. There is nothing left to sell. How am I supposed to get there? What am I supposed to do? And he said, I don't know, except you're supposed to make the decision. Once you make the decision that I will be there, then the options present themselves. The options do not present themselves first for you to make the decision. You make the decision first, and then the means, the way, the how becomes very clear. So one of the things that happened, that phone call lasted 2 hours, and I remember slumping to the floor because it was so long and I was so weak and I'd been losing, I had lost so much. And I remember saying at the end of that call, I'll be there. I'll be there. I don't know how, but I'll be there. And I literally ended up selling the oven, and some other fixtures, like ceiling fans or whatever I had to take down to sell, just to put enough money, to get enough money to buy the ticket. If I could do that, they said they would find other people who were driving the 18 hours to get to Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, that I could ride with, and I did. And then whenever I got there, they said, we don't know where, but just get here. We'll find a place for you. I literally was in a hotel room with a few other guys. And I mean, the bottom line was I was there. What mattered was I was in that seat at that conference. And I don't remember much about that conference. I remember the speaker. I remember a couple things. I remember walking into this magnificent hotel that used to be normal, but now I felt out of place, like I didn't belong there because I had lost everything, and only rich people should be in that hotel. And I mean, I just felt horrible. And when I saw my mentor, he just embraced me, and I needed that. And he said, "I'm glad you're here." And he could just feel how limp I was. And he looked at me and he said, "I know how hard it is for an empty bag to stand up straight, but you are here. And I'm proud of you. You're here. You are a champion. You won because you showed up, just because you found a way to make it happen." It's been a few years since then, and I'm still talking about it. And I'm telling you, to this day, it was that decision, and it was that action, and then it was that follow through that I think can be partly attributed to much of the success that I have had. It's that way of thinking. And I remember that, and I remember the first speaker, or the last speaker of that first night. And I just remember it was exactly what I needed. I don't remember what it was, and it may have been a don't quit, keep going. You're here. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to go through it. It's not what happens. It's how you handle it. So, I mean, somehow I was, it's what I always knew, but that you kind of forget when it happens to you sometimes. And that was such an incredible journey, selling everything I could in the house. The furniture was already gone. So when you start thinking about, oh, you can't afford it, what you really mean is what you're not willing to give up. I could go through most people's garages and sell half the junk, and it is junk. It's stuff that you use once a year. And really, I look around and I say, oh, there's some golf clubs. How much money did you make playing golf last year? None. Most people are not making money from playing golf. They're spending money from playing golf. Oh, that's all. That's a nice gun collection. How much money did you make from your guns last year? None. You spent the money. Oh, it's nice woodworking. How much money did you make from this hobby or that hobby? Or your bicycles over there. How many is that? What do you have to do? How bad do you want it? Look, when you put a few hundred people, of some of the most successful people in the world, together on a boat, normally you should pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for 3 days of admission. That's how much I paid for the last conference I went to that was limited to 200 people. It was $10,000 for 3 days. That doesn't count the hotel, which was $300 or $400 a night. It doesn't count the airline tickets. It doesn't count anything else either. That's just to show up in that hotel room. And so the fact that we've put this together, and it's that unique set of people, and we're only talking about a few $100s, it really comes down to, do you even belong on the boat? Do you belong on that boat? Should people like that know people like you? That's the question. Because they want to know winners. They want to know champions. And if you aren't willing to pay that price, then you don't have any business on that boat. We want people that are changing their industry, changing their world. They are purpose-driven people, or maybe they're trying to find their purpose, but they are entrepreneurial. They are driven people, and I think that just the mere act of making the decision to go and then following through with purchasing the cruise and reserving your cabin and sharing that, I think that in itself is the barrier that I think is beautiful. I don't want to change that barrier. I want you to have to make that decision. I want you to have to to do something to be on there. Because if not, who wouldn't hang out with us for a few days on a cruise and you know, all you can eat and spend a day in the Bahamas and get to hang out with these kind of people? I mean, yeah, it's amazing. And yes, your business can get funded. And yes, your life can change. And maybe you're doing TV programs or, you know, whatever it is. Your life can change, but it doesn't happen if you don't lift a finger. So I think that's one of the big differences between successful people and unsuccessful people. And it's absolutely a difference between who should be on that boat and who needs to sit on the couch at home. But if you're watching this, I know that you belong on that boat. You just needed some prodding to make the decision. You just need to commit. You do not need to wait till after Christmas. No, ma'am. No, sir. You do not need to wait till the new year. It's going to be too late by then anyway. The cruise is only 30 days, or 45 days essentially, just a few weeks away from the new year. So if you don't make the decision in the next week or so, you're not going to be on the boat anyway. And by the way, successful people don't delay decision. They make decisions and then they move on. They commit and move on. They say yes to the appropriate things and they immediately know the things to say no to. Some of you are going to spend more time deciding if you're going to go on this cruise or not then you decide if you're going on to see family for Christmas, or if you're going to spend money, how much money you're spending on presents. By the way, if money is an issue, two thoughts. That's February 12th through the 14th. We get back on Valentine's Day. A cruise, gentlemen, is a great Valentine's Day gift. And by the way, if you are tight in pinching pennies, then you need to. Then this should be a Christmas gift and Valentine's Day gift. There is nothing wrong with giving a CEO Entrepreneur Cruise, faith-based CEO Entrepreneur Cruise, to your friends, families, relatives, or people that you know that are entrepreneurial. You absolutely can do that for them. And so that's fine too. But you need to think creatively. You need to find a way, but the way will not appear until you make the decision. So my question is, have you made the decision? You've got less than 2 weeks to really make this thing happen. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. But just decide now. Just decide now. I'm either going or I'm not going to go. Get off the fence today. Get off the fence. Either commit to going or commit to not going. Do not say maybe. There's no maybe. Commit to going, commit not to going. And I know that the people who commit to going are the kind of people that I want to spend time with, and fortunately that I'm protecting the time of my friends and other folks that will be on that boat. I'm protecting them as well by only surrounding them with winners.